So tell me a little bit about Telegram and this whole deal with Russia shutting down like half its internet or something. What's the big deal with that?
Right. Telegram is a fantastic tool that allows for very secure and private end-to-end encryption of messaging, right? So if we're talking about something super secretive, we don't want anyone to intercept our message. And that makes sense. Everybody wants privacy and security. The challenge with that much privacy and security is that if you are responsible as a gatekeeper or as a systems administrator, and you need to ensure that there are no channels of exfiltration of anything leaving your network, then that represents a problem. And so you want to block an application like that, except Telegram is difficult to block, as Russia proved. And we saw headlines like this earlier in the year. This is why Russia's attempts to block Telegram have failed, and it goes through the details of how it was difficult to do that. And now it's trying more modern methods to do so. But even so, Moscow still has yet to find a way to shut it down without hitting other traffic. So that's the challenge. How do you shut something like this down without hitting other traffic in the process? And so what I'm here to show you is how it's done with a very simple mechanism using Don't Talk to Strangers, which is a feature that we run in this firmware. So we have a number of platforms. One of them is ASUS, running the Atom Networks firmware. And I'm going to show you first how Telegram works just fine when I'm only on LTE. So is now good to chat? Let's see if we can have a conversation. And you notice here that the message got delivered just fine, no problem. And let's see if I get a message back. And there we go, I got a message back. So Telegram works just fine. However, if I were to go on my Wi-Fi now, where I happen to be running this protection mechanism using Don't Talk to Strangers, you see immediately that we sense there's a problem with Telegram because it's sitting there connecting. And so what I want to show you is what Telegram is doing in the background here. You'll notice, and you probably already know, that Telegram has been domain fronting for a while, meaning that it uses all sorts of presence on the internet to route traffic through so that it becomes very difficult to block, because these IP addresses that they connect to change all the time. They have large swaths of them all over the internet. And so unless you happen to know what Telegram is going to use next as a range of IP addresses, you'll never succeed in continuously trying to block. So those are all the red entries here, and you can see the various ports and protocols that it's trying to connect to. Meanwhile, it's always failing. But I don't have any other connectivity issues on the device, just Telegram is failing.
So how do you do that? Like, how does this actually work?
So the way it works is that it's basically a complete paradigm shift from traditional approaches. Traditional approaches that we use on firewalls is we block by protocol, we block by IP addresses, we block by DNS names, and so forth. Well, when you play that cat and mouse game, the mouse can just keep on finding a new corner, using a new IP address, using a new DNS name. If you take the approach of doing Don't Talk to Strangers, which is to say that strangers are IP addresses that didn't start with a DNS name, then you solve that problem. So if you are trying to connect to an IP address that did not start with a DNS query, then you simply don't connect to it. And that is, in essence, Don't Talk to Strangers. And that's why it's such an effective mechanism of allowing you to be a responsible gatekeeper and disallowing the kinds of tools that might be allowed for exfiltration.
So you're saying that Adam's muscle is bigger than Russia's big hammer right now?
In this particular application, yes, the muscle is very strong.